All right, Mike. So I said you might be able to do a little bit of Spanglish for us.
Sí, yo hablo bien Spanglish. It's my second idioma, the second language that I speak well.
Very good. Well, if we have any questions in el chat, si hay preguntas en el chat, Mike sí entiende bien el español. Pueden preguntarle en español a ver si quiere hacer algo en Spanglish. Si no, si entendemos inglés también. Así que, pues, thank you so much, Mike, for being with us again. I'm going to go ahead and add your screen here.
Okay.
And if I see any questions while you're talking, is it okay if I interrupt you, or do you just want to take questions at the end?
No, please. Yeah, stop, interrupt. Again, I can stop and explain something in Spanish or go over something again, whatever people watching want to know.
Awesome. All right. Well, I'm going to take myself out, but I'll be in the background.
Okay. So I guess the next 45 minutes or so are all about feedback and how to provide authentic, meaningful feedback to your students with a focus on how to do it digitally using, a variety of tools all associated around Google Classroom. So before we get into the how, let's talk a little bit about the why, right? Why do we want to focus on feedback? And, really it's the research that shows us that it's an important step of the learning process. Here, I love this quote from Grant Wiggins because he sums up a whole lot of research, by saying that, all that research shows us that teaching less and providing more feedback leads to greater learning. And I know sometimes it's that step in the learning process that maybe gets skipped because we feel this rush to move on, right? We feel like, oh, we got to go on. We don't have time to go back and fix. But really, the research shows us that we should stop, pause, give that time for feedback, give that time for students to go back in and make adjustments to work and make adjustments to their thinking, that in the end leads to more and better learning. Now, not all feedback is created equal, right? There are steps and strategies to providing quality and effective feedback. And I'm not going to talk at length about all 7 of these, but I do want to focus on a few of them because then they're going to connect to those tech tools. So again, we can connect the why we're doing it and then the how easily in our minds. So, the first one is feedback should be goal referenced, meaning, the students should know exactly what they're learning, right? Whether it's a skill, what they should be able to do, or whether it's knowledge, and that the feedback should be related in their progress to meeting or to, mastering that goal. All right, so we're always focused on why are we doing this? What's the end product that we want to see? What's the end ability we want to see from our students? The next one is that it's tangible and transparent. And this is really where technology can really help us out. Tangible and transparent, meaning that the students really know what the feedback is and how that feedback can be used by them, right? And how that feedback relates to the goal, right? So they have a clear sense of here's where I am in my learning, here's where I need to go, and here are maybe the steps I need to take. And that's that idea that it's tangible and transparent. The next one is that it's actionable. And when I give this presentation to teachers and when I talk to teachers about feedback, I stress this one a lot, meaning actionable, meaning that the students can then actually take that feedback and do something with it. If the students can't do anything with it, let's say it's a summative end of the unit test and you know that you're moving on the next day, right? There's no reason for you, the teacher, to kill yourself spending hours giving feedback if the students aren't going to do anything with it, right? It's a waste of your time and it's really not going to be used by them. So really the feedback is in that, that formative, during that progress of learning, in the middle of that unit, in the middle of that lesson is when you want to be giving that feedback so students then have the chance to do something with it. They can take action. Next one, user-friendly. So students have access to it. And this is, again, where technology can do wonders. We're going to talk about how to give video feedback so then students can, re-watch it and pause it and come back to it, really making it very user-friendly. And the last one that I'll mention is that it's timely, right? That it comes in a timely manner. And this is, again, where technology can help out in terms of automated feedback through Google Forms or any other online quiz software that gives immediate feedback. But then also these tricks that I'm going to show you that allows you to give feedback a little bit faster and allows you then to get feedback quicker into your students' hands so that there's not this large gap of time between when they did something and when you're actually talking to them about it. All this is referenced here in the article. It's linked, and I'm going to share this resource at the end so you can go back in and read Grant Wiggins' article at length. It's worth the read. He'll explain all these, I'm sure, better than I am. So one thing we want to be clear about is, there's a difference between feedback and grading. Feedback 100% necessary for the learning process, right? Whether you're an adult learner, whatever it is, everyone needs feedback to help them learn. Grading, on the other hand, not necessary for the learning process. It's necessary, in most of our schools, but we want to make sure that we separate the two, right? When you are giving feedback to a student, you want to remove the grade from it. You want to remove the statements that impart judgment, right? So, for example, if I'm giving back, writing assignments to students, and I have an 88 on there with then some suggestions, more often than not, the students look at the 88, right? They're either happy or they're disappointed, and they don't really look at my suggestions. Also, you have that opinionated feedback that we often give, where we say, good job, this, or hey, that wasn't so good, this. We want to remove that value statements from our feedback, all right? We just want to skip the good job and go right into what it is they did and what it is they need to work on, again, to meet that goal. So the resource that I'm going to share at the end has tutorials and tips on all these things in here, but in this 45 minutes, I'm going to focus on just 4. 1, how to use Screencastify to provide video feedback. My favorite tip, and I'm going to save it for last because I think it's really the best. How to use student responses and comment keys. So how to train your students on how to receive feedback and then interact with it, again, through the lens of Google Classroom and the other G Suite tools, docs, and slides. How to use the comment bank in Classroom, and not just the how to use it, but also how to use it specifically for feedback. So I'm going to give some tips there. And then finally, how to use rubrics with Google Classroom, but again, not as a grading tool, but more as a feedback tool, right? So a little bit of that technical how-to, but more so how to use it, again, to really focus on that feedback to improve your students' learning and mastering of those goals. All right, so let's get into it. I'm going to flip over here now to a fake teacher classroom I have set up, and I'm going to go in here and start off with the comment bank example, right? So in this assignment, right, if I want to go back in and take a look and now give some feedback to my student work, right, I want to use the comment bank, all right? So the comment bank allows us to add comments that we've pre-written into it with just a few clicks of the button. So for example, if I want to make a comment on this intro sentence, I can add my comment. I'm going to use the hashtag key. And then notice what pops up here is all these examples of feedback that I've already added in to the comment bank, right? So for example, and then I can just hit enter, click comment, and now right there, right, I'm asking my student to go back in and watch maybe a tutorial video that we shared earlier on in the unit to help them fix their work. So all that information I conveyed, right, these whatever 10 words and this link are instantly added. Now, to get into that comment bank, I can click right over here. I have everything in there that I've added over, over my time as a teacher. So this is one of those things that it builds up over time. So, in the beginning, it takes a little extra time to get set up, but then once it's set up, you have it. To add to the comment bank, you can do it one at a time, or what I recommend is at the start of a unit or assignment, go in on a Google Doc and create feedback that or that you're, suspect is going to come up in that unit, right? And the first 2 examples here, again, notice I'm not adding any value statements to it. And I'm not saying, try better next time, remember to carry yours one place. I'm just telling them what the feedback is. And these first 2 examples, again, I'm providing a link to a tutorial or a website or whatever it is you would want your students to use to work on that. And this third one here, again, similar, just linking it to maybe a part of the lesson that they should go back to. In this one, laying out the different steps that I might want my student to look at when they're going back in to fix some work. So again, all this stuff to type up for each student is going to take tons of time, right? We just rather type it once, put it in that comment bank and use. Here, really simple feedback. And this actually comes from an article about flash feedback. This came out a couple of days ago that I'm also going to share out that talked about how to provide feedback quickly. And what the author suggests here is, we don't want to do all the work for our students, right? We don't want to go in there necessarily and highlight every single common mistake they had in the paper, because then they're not learning how to find the mistakes. Instead, you just want to let them know, hey, you need to redo it, common mistakes, and then I've left that little end of it blank, and then you could always just type in the number of common mistakes they had, right? So you pop that into the comment bank, hit the number 3, and they know that they're looking for 3 common mistakes. But again, you're not telling them where they are. They have to learn how to find it. Or on the vice versa, giving them feedback that, hey, you're done. Congrats. Here again, just another example. Now, to add this all to the comment bank, I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to go over, and I'm going to paste it. And if there's a space in between, right, which is what the directions say up here, it's going to now add all of these as separate comments. Click Add. Takes a second to populate, and there it is, right? So for example, going back to that comma one, like let's say in the very beginning of this writing work, I just want to talk about commas, go hashtag, comma, and notice that it doesn't matter where I'm typing the word from in my comment bank. I just know it's a comma. I'm gonna hit return, and then I'm gonna hit my little arrow key and then type in that number, right? Comment. So you could see as you're doing this, maybe you're doing 20 in a row for one class, or maybe you're doing 100 of these in a row for your full body of students. As you get into this rhythm, it's really going to save you time and allow you to do this quicker. Again, allowing you to provide timely feedback. And that's it. Now, I'm going to click return, and I'm going to go now over to the student view, and I'm going to talk a little bit then about how to train your students to interact with your feedback. Sorry, here now is my student view. They can pop into their classwork, go to that assignment right there, and open it up. All right, and then in here, right, the comments that I just left are right there. Now, one thing we want to teach our students here is to respond, right, to the feedback in the comments, but do not resolve. Right? Again, train your students from the beginning. Do not ever hit resolve. And the reason why is you've got 20 students, 50 students, 100 students. You're not going to remember all the feedback that you gave, right? So if they click resolve, you're going to have to go back in and you're going to have to remember, well, what did they do? Where is this? So instead, what you want to do is teach them to reply to it. And you can, again, teach them to be very specific and thoughtful on this. To say something like, I fixed the list comma in paragraph 1. I fixed the blank comma in whatever it is. Get them to explain what they did in the comment. And then when you go back in to recheck it, you don't have to go back in and look at their work. You'll be able to look at their comment and then know whether they understand or not. Right? You're making them now more cognate thinkers. Right? You're getting them to think about themselves as learners or as writers in this case, and how they use commas. And then they just click reply and they leave it open, right? And the same thing here, right? Let's say it was a bigger fix, right? They watch the video. Again, they're not going to click resolve. They're going to click on it and say, I added more powerful verbs to my opening sentence, blah, 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 blah. Right, again, train your students on how to respond to this so that they're thinking actively about it. Click reply. And then, right, when you go back in, now this is again my teacher view, you go back in there, I can see them, my students, and then from right there, I can say, cool, they understand it, and move on. Does this take a little time in the beginning? Yes, right? But again, going back to Grant Wiggins' summary of research, the more time we spend on feedback, the more learning that happens. And again, as we get better at this, as we build this into our routines and how we train our students to build this into their routines, it will become faster and easier. And you will see great student learning improve. All right, so that's the comment bank tip right there. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and talk about a different one, which is now using rubrics for feedback. So a relatively new tool in Google Classroom. I'm sure the tool has been covered in these webinars here. Awesome. Yeah.
Sorry, there was a quick question on the comment banks before you move on. Ana Luisa is asking, is The comment bank, is it saved in a special folder in Drive? Do you have to have a Google Doc open to see your comments?
That's a great question. I don't know if you can actually help me out on that, Dominique. As far as I know, they live in this magical comment bank feature here, either through Classroom or through the work mode in Google Docs.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I think too, Mike. While you move on, I can research that so I can answer Ana Luisa.
Yeah. As far as I know, they just live there magically. They do save, in this place right here, and you have access then to them anywhere in Classroom. So it is one of those things that does compile over time. So you as a teacher don't have to worry about losing them, or I've never even asked myself where do they actually live, because they're always just magically there. So I would love an answer on that.
Okay. And then Maria del Rosario, she's saying, I think they just show up when you're grading. Can you show them how to find the comment bank again?
Yep. So again, I'm in Google Classroom. I'm going to go to the assignment, and I can either view assignment, or I can go right into my student work. And when I open up then my student work, so this is the grading, view from Classroom, and they're located right there, right? That's the comment bank. All right. Now the question would be though, right? If I pop into a regular Google Doc, it does not come up, right? So if I'm in a regular Google Doc, that comment bank is not there. It is just a feature there located within the grading feature of Classroom. Yeah, I think that's right. And again, you can access them right there, add more of them. You can always edit or delete, copy to clipboard, right? So you've got some options in there, but they live in Classroom right there in a comment bank feature inside the grading view when you're looking at student assignments.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and then Felipe is just adding, he's saying, automating, I guess, the assessment comments would be wonderful. So I guess, that's what we're doing essentially through Google Classroom, but maybe eventually we'll have them in normal Google Docs too. I don't know. But
yeah, and I know Google Docs has, they've got that sort of grading feature that's not associated with Classroom, right, that to be honest, I've never used because I've always had access to Classroom as the main learning management system that I've used. But I know Google, I think, is working on that sort of side piece on how to, support teachers who aren't necessarily on Classroom, but that are assigning work through, docs or slides and so forth.
This is off topic. I don't know if you're going to talk about this. Have you used WriteQ?
I have not, no.
Okay, so that's an extension that Read and Write has created, or that Text Help has created. And it's specifically for grading and giving feedback and doing rubrics on writing. And you don't need Google Classroom for it, but it's sort of still in beta. They haven't, but that might be an option that I can recommend to people, and then you can look at it later. But I'll let you continue so we don't get completely off track.
All right. So I'm now taking again at rubrics through Classroom. And in this case, again, focusing on rubrics on, how it looks in the view of feedback, and not just for grading, right? So I'm opening up my student work, and I've attached a rubric already, and I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second, right? And the rubric is right over here, again, in that grading view from Google Classroom. Right here is an essay that my student handed in, and then right there, with just a click of the button, now I can then give that feedback that I gave to the comment bank by just clicking on whichever one it is. Now, if I clicked on this drawdown arrow, I could see my two options, right? So again, in this example, I'm telling my students they've made a couple common mistakes, and then here's a video on how they can then go back and fix them, or all commas are used correctly. And then I can then move on to the next student, right? So from there, again, as you're getting into this rhythm and you know which one's which, all commas are used correctly or not, you can just click on there, move on to the next student, right? Click on it, read the work, move on to the next student. Click on it, move on to the next student, right? So you can see how this is now even saving more time. And again, not grading, right? The rubric that I set up was purely based on feedback, right? Offering suggestions and providing resources for students to make improvements on their work. This also can be used well, for example, in math, right? So again, I'm going to open up this math assignment in Google Classroom. I'm going to open up my student A's work. And in here, right, I've created a rubric. Actually, maybe let's take a look at that rubric for a second. right? So here's a rubric that I created for a math assignment that students might hand in. And I broke it down into 3 things that, again, have nothing to do with grades and everything to do with actual feedback. The first is the process, right? I want to make sure that my students are following the process. In this example, I used long division, right? And the options are yes, right? Or yes, the process was done correctly, or the process was incomplete, or is out of order, because these are the typical things that you're going to see from students. I also have one that talks about the correct answer, correctly solved. And then here are 2 different types of mistakes that we see with students, right? Maybe it was a process error. They didn't understand how to do long division, therefore they ended up with the wrong answer. Or maybe they just made a math mistake. The process was perfect, they just added or subtracted incorrectly. And those are 2 important distinctions to be able to make with your students, right? Hey, you're on the right track, just be more careful next time. Or hey, like, you are having some trouble here understanding, let's go back in and start again, or let's go back in and fix really the process of it. And then taking it one step farther, specifically again for math, is, what is their attention to detail? And again, giving them 2 pieces of feedback. 1, great attention to detail, it was neat, it was a line, it was correctly written, or they made a mistake. Now, in all of these, what I've done here is I just haven't pointed out the mistakes they've made, right? I've then given them the next steps, and I've made this feedback actionable. So, for example, here, right, they made a math mistake. I want them to find, circle, comment, and then resubmit, right? So again, I just said to them, hey, you made a math mistake. As a learner, you need to go back in there and find that math mistake, circle it for me, or circle it for yourself, but circle it so that I can see that you found it, comment on it, and then resubmit. So when I go back in to regrade or relook at student work, I don't have to go back in there and rethink about and try to remember what the problem the student had is. In their comment, I'll learn, yes, right, they understood it, they commented, they found the mistake, and they fixed it. And that's the case for the attention to detail as well as the process, right? So again, in the feedback, I'm trying to make it actionable. So let's go back then. Here's student work, an example of how to use Classroom for, non-digital assignments, right? A student can simply, do their work on the paper, take a picture, and add it to Classroom. And then from here, right, I could always highlight, and I can always add in comments over highlighting, whatever it is, so forth. And then again, I can go into my rubric and say, process was done correctly, the correct answer, there's a math mistake, and it was one of these things, right? And there, with just 3 clicks, I've given detailed feedback that's actionable to my student. I move on to the next one, right? Okay, very good, whatever it is. Process was out of order, correct answer was wrong because process was wrong, but they had good attention to detail. There we go, 3 clicks. I'm gonna then move on to the next student, whatever, and return it, okay? So again, using rubrics here in a slightly different way. And then let's pop over to the student view just so you can see what then it looks like from a student's perspective, right? So you can open up their assignment, math feedback, right? And then right here, they can see the assignment. Oh, they didn't leave a comment. And it's just taking a second here to load up. Okay, so there it is, right? Took a second to load. And then here is the feedback that I gave through the rubric. The student can then expand it, and they can say, okay, good, I did my process correctly. Oh, but my final answer wasn't correct. I made a math mistake, okay. And my teacher's letting me know that there was a mistake right in there. So now let me go back into my work. And then again, right in here, right, they can go back into their hand, they can circle it, write the comments on, take a picture, and then resubmit it. Right, and then this is the other student's view. And again, looks very much the same. View their assignment, and again, they can see their rubric and expand it. So again, taking some training from the student's point, teaching them how to do this, right? Teaching them how to be a student and how to work with feedback. You're gonna need to do it, right? That time's gonna have to be spent, but again, it's gonna lead to better learning. All right, so now let's take a look then. Here is, pop back to Classroom. Let's talk about setting up then a rubric for this. So go back here to my test class. If I want to then add a rubric, for example, I can open up my assignment. I'm gonna go in here and actually I'm gonna edit it. And here now I can click plus and I can add my rubric. Now I can reuse one. So again, this is a nice thing that you're going to have these math assignments, right? Some of those things are going to stay the same, right? The bottom two categories of, was the correct answer there? Was, were they working, neatly? That's going to stay the same. And then all you'll have to do is reuse it and then edit the rubric to make adjustments to whatever skill they're working on. But if we want to create one from scratch, first thing we want to do is, because it's feedback, again, we want to remove the grade from it. We want to turn off the scoring. All right, very important. And then, for example, right, we can do something with word choice, give a description, or word use. Maybe you wanted your students to focus on a writing assignment using vocabulary words. So use the following vocabulary, and then you could list out the words, right? Right, et cetera, right? And then here again, creating some different criteria, right? So use all correctly and give it a little description. Each word was used, et cetera. Maybe add on a second criteria, which, let's say they used, 5 out of the 7 correctly. And then here again, you want to then make it actionable. Go back and circle the 2 words not used correctly, rewrite, etc. Right? Give them the action. What do they need to do to show that they have now learned the skill or learned the concept or whatever it is? All right, so you can spend a little more time there setting that feedback up through there. When you're done, click save, and then it's going to be then attached to the assignment. All right. And then if I want to then go into my student work, again, getting in there to the work view, there's the rubric right there. I can now go in and give feedback on students' use of vocabulary word. Just taking a second here to. Another great sort of trick here to save time is for something like vocabulary words, you can use the Command F or the Control F, the find feature, and you can then search the word. Right, and in this case, it'll highlight then the word, so you don't have to go through and accidentally read the full page. You can just go there by word and find it, and then sort of get to that word quicker. This also works for commas or exclamation points or whatever it is that you might be looking for in student work. You can use that Command F feature to make it faster. There's the rubric attached to it. Again, choose whatever it is, hit return or not, move on to my next student. All right, Dominique, I'm going to move on. No questions?
Nope, we're good in this little section. So thanks, Mike.
Okay. The next tip, and again, this is my favorite because I think this is really where you can put all these tools together and really hit all those important keys to quality feedback, and that's creating video feedback for student work. So here I have my student assignment. All right, I've had all 5 students turn in their work. And I'm going to go now in and take a look at it. Again, I'm not grading it. My grading is a separate step, right? This is feedback. This is during the learning process when students are going to take action, use this feedback to master their learning goal. In this case, I have an essay. Now, instead of just typing feedback, right, instead of using the rubric, I can now use all that in add-on video by using Screencastify. So I'm going to click, I've added Screencastify already to Chrome. I've got a video showing you how to do that if you're not sure. Right there, I'm going to click record. It's going to ask me what I want to do. I'm going to choose my whole screen, click share. It's going to count me in. All right, so now my video is recording. I got myself in the bottom corner. It's really nice for students to be able to see my face, to see my body language. And now I can go in and give give feedback as I'm going through it. Right, so again, I can pop in there, say, all right, this topic sentence, you want to make sure that you, whatever, add in that comment, etc. Go in, continue to look, use the vocabulary. So there we go, comma, whatever it is you're saying. Nice job, right? Redo commas there. I can go in there and then talk a little bit about private comments, or I can type in the rubric. And then I'm going to click stop sharing. Oop, did I click the other one, stop sharing? Oh, no. think I stopped sharing.
You stopped sharing your screen for a second.
Oh, no. Let's try that again.
No worries.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. So the intention there was to click the stop sharing on Screencastify and on the webinar, but I did that when the screen was off. Now this is the video feedback that you're seeing that I created there. And then all I have to do is click shareable, get shareable link. It's copied to my clipboard. I can go back into Classroom, paste that link right into the private comments, and then return it to my student. And now move on to my next one. So again, right, same idea. In this case, student B submitted Google Slides as their work. Again, I can go in there and give live feedback. I can start my Screencastify video, open it up, click record, click share. It's going to count me in. And I'm going to give feedback to my student. All right, I can see student B, you didn't have time to get any work done, whatever it is. You can go in there again, adding in comments to my student work as I'm giving them the video feedback. And now I'm going to click stop sharing my Screencastify. And it's going to open up in a separate tab. Click copy shareable link and close that out. Go back in there, paste it into my private comments, click post, and I return, and then I can move on to the next student. So you can see this workflow, right? It's a few clicks for sure, but it's not that heavy of a workflow. I don't have to wait for my video to process. I don't have to rewatch it. In this example, students submitted an image. So again, I can pop in there, start my video feedback, click record, share. This will be the last example I'll give because I'm sure you get the point at this point. All right, nice job. Student C, your layout is well balanced. Over here, the color of this orange, right? And again, maybe I'm going to add in a comment, highlight over there, add in a comment from my comment bank, whatever it is I'm going to do. Talk about it, your layout, blah, 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 blah. And then again, stop share. Copy that link. Pop over there back in the classroom and paste it and post it and return it, right? So now let's flip over to that student view so you can see, what it then looks like from students. So if they go into that assignment, right there in their private comment, right, they've now got the video that I created. All they do is click and open it up. Right, so now, again, they get to them feedback. They get to see my face in the video. They get to hear my voice. They get to hear this detailed, actionable, tangible, right, goal-oriented feedback right from my mouth. And what I love about this, too, is they can then pause and fix and rewatch, pause. Maybe they get distracted and they have to go eat a snack or whatever it is. They can come back to the video. So right now, what I've done is I've created this, right, really high quality feedback that's very actionable, almost like a one-on-one conference with students where they get my personal attention. With this current situation where we're all teaching, or most of us around the world are teaching digitally from afar, this is a great way still to provide that face-to-face feedback, but this is still a great tool when you do have live classes in front of you. For example, when I was teaching middle school social studies, I wouldn't necessarily have time to go through 20 students, right, and do this. But what I could do is, have a work day, right, where we knew that day students are going to be going back in and working on whatever it is they're doing. And I might then spend the time to do 10 of these videos for students. And for those 10 students, hey, when we get to class today, you're going back to that video feedback, you're going in and making adjustments. While those 10 students are doing that, I might then call students up to my desk and have one-on-one conferences. And then in an hour class, I could hit a full class of students with face-to-face feedback. Half the class digitally through Screencastify videos, the other half of the class face-to-face. And you know which students might need what, right? You know that student, which a video like this is enough for them to take it, run, and really apply the feedback to their learning. And you know, there's other students that just need that face-to-face with you sitting right next to them. But this, again, frees up time and really allows you to be able to do, again, quality feedback that's timely and all that stuff. And way more powerful than writing on student work, way more powerful than just the comment bank alone or the rubric alone. All right. Now, one more thing added onto this, especially powerful in digital work is, so, you know, again, from my student view here, student A, they watch the video, all right, and they can then go back to their classroom assignment. And then what you can do is you can then also have them install Screencastify. They can then go in and they can now create a video talking back to you, right, and talking about the changes that they made, right? So again, as the student, I'm now going to go open up my screencast video, open up my Screencastify, right? I'm going to click on webcam or not. So again, if the student doesn't want to be shown, you can choose not to.
Hey, Mike.
Yep.
Sorry, I know you're about to record. We just have a quick question. A couple of people have said, wow, this video option is great. And then we have a question from Ana Luisa again, just saying, how would the students respond to a video if they have questions or doubts about it? Would they record a video response? Would they write to it? What would a student do?
Yeah, so that's exactly where I am right now. And this depends on, you know, you as a teacher, what you want, right? They could go back in and write back a private comment. You know, I was able to fix this, but I don't understand, blah, 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 right? They can write back a comment. They could, you know, say, hey, can I see you in class tomorrow and ask you about this in this digital world? Hey, can we have a Zoom meeting? Or again, another option is to then start a video dialogue, right? So now I'm still in my student view. They've watched the video of my teacher feedback. They see the comments there as well, right? So I've got that sort of two modes of communication going on. Mm-hmm. And they can go in there and they can record a feedback back to me, the teacher, right? And it could look different depending on where they are, right? They click share the screen, it counts them in. And they might say, okay, you know, thank you, Mr. Kauffman, or not thank you, depending on how I'm feeling as a student. I went in and I fixed my topic sentence. And again, training them to use the comments. I added more specific, whatever it is they did. They click reply, and then they might say, but Mr. Kauffman, I'm pretty sure I used the word inhabitants correctly. This is what I meant by it. Does that make sense? Or I don't understand what you mean by that type of comma, Mr. Kauffman. Whatever it is, and then they click stop sharing. And again, the process looks the same for them. That video is going to pop up. They're going to click copy shareable link. They're going to go back into that private comment, and they can then paste it right there and send it off, and then back to now the teacher view. I think that was student A, right? Back to the teacher view in the private comment. Right there now is student A responding back, right, with their video. And then I can watch that video and again have this sort of video dialogue with my students. Now, to be completely honest, right, is that the best way to necessarily clear up misunderstandings? Probably not. Right? That's probably going to need some live, either face-to-face if we're back in the classroom, or live through Zoom or through Google Meet. But training them to create these videos, explaining the changes that they made, or explaining any of their doubts, gives you tremendous insight as a teacher, right? It gets you into their thinking. And again, training your students on how to do this, to say, hey, I want you to mention these things when responding to my feedback. I want you to mention specifically, you know, what you did differently, or how it is, or what you understood or what you didn't. And what's coming out of that, right, in addition to learning the specific skill, is again, you're training your students to become thoughtful, reflective learners, right? Which in this day and age, right, more important than any specific skill probably that we're giving them as, you know, a 7th grade math teacher or as a 5th grade, you know, science teacher, right? The skill to actually be a reflective learner will happen. And I guarantee that in the beginning, it's going to be a challenge, and it might be sloppy and a little bit of a headache. But I guarantee if you stick with it throughout the year, your students will get good at this, right? They will get at this routine, and they will become, right, quality responders to your feedback, and they will become more receptive, and it'll become actionable, and all these wonderful things that the research shows us will come into place with time. Yep.
Yeah, no, I think you said it well.
Now, I do want to take a minute. That's it for the new information, but I want to go back here to some resources. And this bit.ly right here brings you to a Google site, which I already have open. And in this Google site, I essentially have tutorials and information on everything that I covered plus more. Just want to spend a minute giving you a tour of it, because I know sometimes if you don't see the resource, you might not go to it, but I do want to really encourage people to go to this resource. I've got a video here recapping everything I just talked about. You've heard it, you can skip it. But then each of these pages will give you then a tutorial on how to do it. Right, so this is about a 6-minute video showing you exactly how to set up the Screencastify, how to add the Chrome extension, how to do the video feedback, right, step by step. This one is all about how to use Google Rubrics, how to add rubrics, how to grade using rubrics. So again, short tutorials, so that way if you forgot how to do it, you can go back and watch. How to set up the comment bank. And again, same thing, video there showing you how to do it. Kazena, I didn't have time to show it, but an awesome tool that gives audio feedback. This is something that if you're not using Google Classroom, is an awesome tool to explore. Has all those built-in features that Classroom has, rubrics, sort of canned comments, feedback links, and then the ability to give audio feedback directly in a Google Doc or any other Google product, as well as PDFs and so forth. So an awesome tool. And this video will show you how to do it from start to finish. And then just a couple other resources there, different tricks for those of you, maybe your students who don't have access to regular tech, right? How to still take advantage of some of these tools without it, and so forth, right? So again, this is this bit.ly link right here, bit.ly/better feedback with G Suite, capital B, capital F, capital W, G, and S. And then I have right here, as well as a link to the flash feedback article I quickly referenced from the Cult Pedagogy blog. Awesome blog resource, a really cool article that just came out again a few days ago, so timely for this session, and I enjoyed reading it, and I think you will too.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. And I just put your link in the chat so that everybody can find it there. We also, Ana Luisa, Marilyn, Marlene, Maria, we've had several people just kind of commenting, saying hi, saying thank you. We also have George Barcenas is here with us. We didn't even know he was there. He just said hi. Ana Maria. And then, yeah, Maria's just talking about Kaisena. I don't even know how to say that right. But yeah, that's a great tool too for feedback with the voice comments and everything. So yeah, so this is great. Thank you so much, Mike. And we appreciate having you with us. If you want to stick around and just say hi to Susan. Susan's here. She's our next presenter.
Nice. Another person to meet. Yes, I do want to stick around for a minute.
Awesome. Good morning, Susan. Hi. You're on mute right now. It's okay. So Susan, there. So Susan's joining us from California, and I don't know if you've seen any of her presentations yet, Mike, but she's an expert on all things with like early learners.
Nice. You early teachers are, I'm in awe of the miracle that you pull off every day teaching young ones.
It is a special breed, us kindergarten type people, but takes a certain kind of person. Everyone has their strengths, but the elementary world, especially the primary world, K1, 2, are like, who would have ever thought we would be teaching kindergarten on the computer, right? But I'm in awe of the teachers and what they're doing as well. So many teachers are creating and sharing and bringing it, putting on the silly hats, connecting with their kids. So it's been wonderful to see how teachers have all teachers, but even the primary teachers are showing up for their kids right now. So
for sure.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mike. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see when we get to see each other again in Guadalajara.
Sounds good. Thank you, Dominic. Nice meeting you, Susan.
Okay. See you later, Mike. All right, Susan, I'm going to go ahead and put a little video clip in, And then if you want to start sharing your screen, we'll go ahead and get started.
Awesome.